Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we are going to work on a bracelet. Well, it was originally in this bead style magazine from January 2005. It was made as a choker. Now this is a 3-strand. I'm going to have to make it a 2-strand because my divider pieces I have are only 2-strand. But that's all right. And I'm going to make it a bracelet as opposed to a choker. So we're going to sort of follow this. Let's turn down. So here is the magazine. Like I said, it's called Bead Style, and this is from January 2005. And what they had here was a 3-strand choker. Now, I'm not going to make a choker, and I'm not going to make 3 strands. We're going to make 2 strands because, well, all my divider divider pieces are 2-strand rather than 3. So we're going to go 2, and instead of doing this step right here, because they ask for the shank and then 2 little divider beads and a bracelet divider on both sides. Since I only have 2, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my beads, I'm going to pull my threads together, both of them going through the shank, and then we'll spread out from there. So let's look over what I have chosen to use. I've got a package of silver buttons here, and I've got a, this is a slide clasp. So we're going to use the slide clasp to end it. And then we're going to decide on our button. One of these is going to be our our piece. Now, a lot of times I'll paint my buttons. I haven't painted one of these. So we could use this. We've got a choice of 4 different buttons here. We've got this guy. This one, which is probably the one I'll use, and I may decide to paint it later. We have this sunflower. We could use it. It's really quite pretty. This one and this little square one. But I'm thinking we're going to use this one. You know, maybe we should use this sunflower. It's cute. So let's use that. Well, I'm not sure that's going to be fancy enough because what I'm going to use for my dividers are these crystal spacers here. Let's turn this around. And as you can see, like I said, well, this one actually is a 3-bar, but I'm not going to use these anyway. They're too close together, in my opinion. Your beads are going to have to be relatively slim to use them. I'm going to use these pretty crystal spacers. And so we're going to get like, well, I don't know how many we're going to end up needing, so we can just get however many out we want to get. Now, actually, I was thinking of using these crystal spacers in the necklace with this beauty here. Isn't that pretty? And I might do that in time, as long as I don't use all my crystal spacers for this bracelet. But we'll put these babies aside. So there's some crystal spacers. There's a button. Now this would be prettier, I think, if my button was a little more flashy. But I don't know if I have a flashy enough button to make that work for what I'm thinking of. But I might. I do have these, but I think they're too big since we're only going for 2 rows instead of just 1. But I also have, if I can get it out, I think it's in this case. This is a dichroic glass one. I have two of them, but nope, don't like that either. So we'll put this baby back where we got it. And now I've peeved my so we probably will go with this one, and I may decide to paint it, you know, for Cantel. Though if we're going to paint it, I should do it right now. So, but what I'm going to use for my beads are some of these crystals from out of our California Dreaming kit. So I think of course we don't need our stump everything. Don't need these glass beads here because we're not going to use those kind of things. But I love these clear ones here, and I was thinking of using those, but at the same time, I was thinking it might be better for the little blue ones if I have enough. Maybe I have enough to do something like this. But I don't have any spacers out, and I'll probably want to put some spacers in because I'm a spacer freak. And I'm thinking we can do like this, put our bar here, and then we'll go back and forth between light blue and the dark blue. And I may not put spacers between the rondelles, just between these crystals and so like so, and then depend on how long we end up being here. See, it would be dark on this side now. Or I could just put in the orangey color if I wanted to do that. Our button would go in. Then we'd come the other side. Me, baby. Now, if I decided I would prefer to have the light blue ones in there, we could reverse this pattern here and put the light blue and then the dark blue and the light blue kind of thing. But we're close to being out of this style, but I think we may have enough to do our bracelet because I think we're probably getting close to the length we want right now. Well, it's 6. But of course we're going to have the ends as well, which would be on the other side here. One, two, three, four, five. 5 of those pretty ones left. And then if we were to do them like we would normally, we would probably use some of them to bring this together. So like I said, we could do the, I actually like the light blue better, so we may switch our positions here with the light and the dark. And like I said, we need to get some spacers for here and here and the wire out. Okay, so I've got some crystal rondelles or crystal spacers. So we're gonna put some of these out here. And what I'm gonna do with these is I'm gonna put them between here and here as the spacer. No spacers between these guys, but these will go here and here. Like, come on baby, go in there. So they'll go along the side as a spacer. And then I have some other little crystals that I might put here on the end if that will work better than I think this should be enough, so I'm going to put these back so we don't knock them all over the place and they don't be in our way. So I'm going to get my wire out. We decided on 11 inches, so I will get 2 pieces of 11 inches. This is SoftFlex dark blue lapis. So there's 1 piece. And 2 pieces. Now I'm not exactly sure these are exactly the same length, and if they're not, that's fine, it's good enough. So we'll close that up, put it aside. So now we're going to take, and the instructions said put one bead on each side wire and the button in the middle. But because we don't have separate ones, since we only have 3, we're going to put it like so. And then because we are going to be underneath the button here, I'm going to put, I was thinking of putting some seed beads in here, but I'm thinking I may just put a couple of these little crystals that are here. Let's see if they'll work, because they're going to be underneath. I need one more. There we go. They're going to be underneath anyway, so I'm thinking it will probably be fine. Come here, separate your wires. I'm thinking it'll be fine to just put one of these on each one, and we'll see what that is, what that looks like underneath the button, if it's going to work or if we're going to have something smaller. Now this might be fine, like I say, because see, they're going to stay underneath the button, and then the other beads will come on. Come on, go up there. And this is crystals in case they do come out. They're at least a crystal, so they'll go prettier with our bracelet. So they'll sit like that. Now, because I'm not sure if they are going to be out all the way or close to it enough, we'll put these on and see where they're going to sit at with the crystal there. And they're right at the edge. Sort of wondering if it might be good to put a seed bead under there as well, or a ball spacer, so that it takes up some of the space. Wires pulling out. Now, since we're going to probably work on one side at a time, I'm going to get these pulled about halfway, and then I'm going to put a bead stopper on the one side so that they'll stop coming in and rolling around so much. So let's see about where that's going to be, about right there. And I'm going to put a bead stopper on this one side so that we'll do one side of the bracelet at once and then switch over to the other side. So I'm going to switch the dark blue and the light blue. So I have extra dark blue, as it turns out, right here. But that's all right. We'll get that aside like that. And I'm going to put a ball spacer underneath with these crystals, where I'm going to put, that's more than I need, where I'm going to put these crystals at so that they'll go underneath the button. So one ball spacer and then one crystal. And these crystals are about the same size as these other rondelles here. So that'll go under like that. We'll have a rondelle and then a crystal spacer and then our crystal bead here and the first side of our bracelet spacer. So it'll look like going to look like so. So we'll do that again for this side. Ball spacer. Well, come on, baby. Crystal. Light blue. Crystal spacer. And then this crystal here. And these are so pretty. So then it'll go through here as well. And now the button's on the opposite side as I want it. It needs to flip. So it's going to sit like so. Now we'll go to the other side of this. And we're going to go with the crystals. Oops, dropped it. Come on, baby. The crystal spacers. And then the dark blue. So we have 3 dark blue on each line here. Then the crystal spacer. The crystal, it's this crystal. And that's what this side's going to look like. We'll get one of our spacer bars out. Put it on. Now we'll switch to the other one. Put the 3 dark blue on it. And then through our hole here. So there's our bracelet so far. So now we're going to switch and do the light blue here on this side. So we'll go with our crystals again. Crystal spacer. 3 light blue. Crystal spacer. And our crystal bar. So, there we go. Now we'll, oops, forgot the crystal bead here. Can't do that. And then the bar. Do the exact same thing on this side, this second one here. That's what this side's going to look like, and I'm going to probably put a couple more of these crystals on this side to pull it in if we need, well, actually we're going to have to see what size it ends up being first before we worry about that, because we don't want it to be overly big. If it gets too big, we'll have to take some things off. But now we've got this side finished. And I want these lines to be pretty even in my bar here. So take it off over here. Pull our lines up. They're obviously crisscrossed in here because when I pulled this one, the other side pulled tight instead of this side. So let's see if we can get that better. There we go. Now I'm going to flip this upside down so we can see what we're doing here underneath as we go up to the other side. So as we go along, we're going to start by putting on our ball spacer and our crystal. On either side here, and stop crisscrossing you. So in you go. So there's how this piece looks, and see this one is again loosening up. One of these is. I'm not sure which one it is because they're sort of being wonky here. But see how this is what it should look like underneath, with the ball spacer and the crystal underneath like so. So now we start just like we did the other side, and we're going to put the 2 light blue on. and the crystal spacer, and then the this crystal piece here. Now, because I have this upside down, when I put this on, I want to make sure it is also upside down so that I don't have it going the wrong direction. So there we go. Now, because it seems to want to stay, the wires want to stay this way, I'm going to just leave them be. I'm not going to fight with them. If they're crossed, well, then they're crossed. As far as this spot is concerned, since we're not crimping right here, it doesn't matter if they're crossed. So here we go. There's our first little bit, the under part here. Now we put on these again, and then because we've switched our direction here, it's the dark blue ones we're going to want. Rather than the light. So we'll go with our crystal pieces here, our spacer, 3 of the dark blue. Come on, go on. Crystal spacer, crystal bead. God, these are so pretty. I love those. And then, of course, we want our next bar, which, of course, like I say, we want to go put it on upside down since we are doing this upside down. So, crystal. Our bead stopper here. Flip it back over, and isn't that pretty? So now it's time. We don't need any more of these ball spacers, I don't think, or these dark blue ones even, probably. But we need to measure this, see how long it is. So let's get out the ruler, and it looks like it's exactly 7 inches as it sits. But is it going to be that size when we pull it around the bracelet sizer piece here? So let's see. 7 right here. Flip it over to the other side. And it's not quite 7. So what we're going to do is, because this, come here you, this bar is not going to take up a lot of space, but we are going to have jump rings and all that fun stuff. Let's put on one of these crystals on either end. Then we're going to try and see about how long it's going to be again. Because we've got to remember, we've got to crimp, and then we've got to hook it onto our clasp. So there goes one. Now these are not quite the same, but this is the back, and I think these will be fine. So let's see. There we go again. This is looking good underneath here. So here is our bracelet. So it's going to be, see how pretty and shiny that is? So it'll come down here, and I actually think it's about perfect. So what we're going to do is get some crimps out. We'll make some little crimp loops on the ends, and then we will jump ring it onto our little bracelet bar. So since this end has the longer threads, I'm going to just hook one of these. We'll get a crimp tube, put it on. Then we're going to back through here. And we're going to try and go through our bracelet bar again, but I'm not sure it's going to let us. It should. It looks like a pretty good sized space there. There we go. And now we're in our little crystal barrel bead here, as you can see. So I'm going to pull that out. We want that pretty tight here. Because we don't want a lot of space here on this end where we're going to have our jump ring at. So I'm just going to push that up. Then I'm going to crimp this side. There we go. And we'll cut this extra line off. Now, as you can see, it's a little floppy right now. We'll have to tighten it up from the other side when we get the other crimp, when we go to do the other crimps. So now we'll do this side here. And we want to make sure when we put this through that we put it through more or less the same. And we want to make sure that we have this, about the same size of loop when we finish up here. So we're going to go through here. We are. Then we'll go through our barrel bead. God, that's... I so love that barrel bead. It's so pretty. So now we're going to bring this up so that our side is about the same. And I think that it still needs to be pulled through a little bit more. That looks pretty good. So now we'll crimp this baby. And as you can see, let's pull this down so I can then trim it off. The loops are about the same size. And this thing just pulled out, so we need to push it back in again. Come on, you. So now we need to push all of our beads over to this side tightly, because now they're loose, because you can see how loose they are down here in the button area, and we definitely do not want that. So we need to get our wires pushed down there. This one is really loose from the feel of it. There we go. Still loose, because I can see right here that it is. So take off our, pull it tight, pull it tight. Let's see where we're sitting. That looks good. So we'll put the bead stopper back on the one side because we don't want it coming loose while we're working. Then we'll get the crimp. We'll go through like we did with these. The only difference is I think I'm going to try and go all the way through to here. And you can see I did make it. So we'll pull this up now. Now we also need to push all these things down because we don't want it to be loose, because then it will come out here at the button. And we want this loop to be about the same as the other side was. So we need to pull it tight. Well, as tight as we're going to pull a bracelet. We don't want to overly pull it. So about right here. Now see, I do have space here, quite a bit in fact. Hopefully it's not going to be too much. Okay, then we're going to cut this wire off. Then we'll go and do the other side. So through here, through our crimp, through our crystal, through our spacer, through our barrel crystal. It's not going through the barrel crystal. We need it to go through the barrel crystal. Come on, baby. There we go. Whoop. Getting a little butterfingery here, aren't I? So we want to go through here. And there we go, it's right there. We want to go through that little blue bead too. Oops, I think I pulled the wrong wire. I did. I wanted to pull this side. Now, where are you, wire? I can feel it, but I can't see it. Not sure where it's coming out at. Oh, there it is, right there, right where I want it. So we got to get hold of that and pull it up. Then we'll push all these beads down. Pull it up again. And that's about, it looks like, where we want it to be at as far as where we want to crimp it at. So push these guys down just a hair's breadth. And then we'll take hold of this right here where the crimp's at. Now it's still a little too big, so we're going to pull down just a little bit. Then pull up a little bit so that it tightens up down here and crimp. Then we'll turn it and crimp again and again. There we go. Now we want to cut this wire. And there is our bracelet. We just have to now put it on to its clasp. So to do that, we need to get our bracelet clasp out and some jump rings, and we'll jump ring this baby onto its clasp, and oh, isn't it pretty? So now see, it is going to be bigger than 7 because my arm is a regular 7, and our little strings are crossing right there, so it's going to end up being about 7 1/4 to 7 1/2. So let's get our jump rings out. We need 4. These little guys should be just fine. Now I do have 2 different sizes in here. See, this one's a little smaller than this. So I do need to be careful and make sure I get the same size of jump rings here. So now we're going to open the jump rings on one side and put one side on, and then we'll flip it and put the other side on. And then we'll check its size. So through the loop. Now you could have hook this directly onto the clasp if you had wanted to. I think it's a royal pain to try and hook these guys on to this style of clasp directly, so that's why I don't do it. It's it gets a little difficult, so it's just easier to do it this way. Now that does, of course, add some extra space to your bracelet. So there's one side done. So then what you need to do is bring it over like so, so that when you put it on, you get it on the proper way. So open this up, and we'll go on this side and then over to this side. Now this last one isn't difficult to find out where it goes because, well, it's the last stuff. So you just put it through here and through here. Close her up, and our bracelet's finished. Different take on a button bracelet, having the button in the middle, but it's so pretty. Let's see how long it ended up being. I think it's going to be about 7 1/2. Yeah, between 7 1/2 and 7 3/4. So it is a little longer than I would have liked it to be. So I probably could have used smaller crystals at the very end just to have something here, but they could have been smaller. But I'm not unhappy with it. I like it. I think it's really pretty. This clasp, to work it, you just pull it like so. So I would prefer this bracelet to be a little tighter than it's going to be on me. But since I'm going to sell it, it's not a big deal. But see, there it is. Isn't that pretty? I think it's a gorgeous bracelet. I think it turned out quite nicely. I really love these beryl crystals. So there we go. So there we go. There is our bracelet with our button in the middle And the beads, the rondelles, and the crystals are from our SoftFlex Design Challenge Kit California Dreaming. So I think they really are pretty. Like I say, it is a little larger than I would have liked it, but it's not too bad. It slides around on my arm, so it's not snug. But you know, sometimes you don't want a snug bracelet. Sometimes a loose one is better, because like if you're at it, like wearing it with an evening gown or something, the slide makes it sit down further on your hand or lower on your wrist, however you want to look at that, and it looks elegant that way. So it's very pretty. I think it turned out really nicely, and I'm pleased with it. Hope you enjoyed making this with me. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and again, we have been using our California Dreaming bead design kit to make this. I think that was the Customer Appreciation Week bead mix, to make this really pretty knit bracelet. And we got the idea from out of our Bead Style magazine, January 2005. Theirs was a choker. Mine is a bracelet. Didn't it turn out pretty? I really like it. I hope you like it as much as I do. And I hope you enjoyed watching me make it and getting ideas for something for yourself. Again, this has been Rose from In Rose's Garden. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.